The formula the dermatologist recommends for acne, its best ingredient, may be quietly compromising its own UV shield. Not a manufacturing defect, a consequence of molecular physics that nobody in marketing will explain. Meanwhile, an $18 Korean SPF built around 4 molecules you have never heard of may deliver more consistent UV protection than the $43 clinical reference. The reason is quantum mechanics. Not a product ranking, a biophysics lesson about what happens when a formula tries to simultaneously treat your skin and protect it from UV, and why those two missions pull in opposite molecular directions. Open the inky list of EltaMD UV Clear SPF 46. 2 actives, zinc oxide 9%, octinoxate 7.5. This is a hybrid formula. Both molecules will become very interesting before this analysis ends. Zinc oxide is commonly described as a physical blocker, a mirror for UV rays. That description is scientifically inaccurate. Zinc is a semiconductor. It absorbs UV energy and excites electrons. The nuance matters enormously. Zinc particles have high surface energy and are thermodynamically inclined to aggregate inside an emulsion. When they cluster into islands, they leave gaps between them, microscopic zones with absolutely no UV coverage. In theory, any mineral formula with imperfect particle dispersion delivers a real protection factor lower than its labeled SPF. The printed number reflects ideal lab conditions, not necessarily what reaches your skin. EltaMD addressed this directly. Every zinc particle is coated with triethoxycaprylyl silane, a silicone shell that turns each sphere lipophilic, causing particles to repel each other and remain individually dispersed in the emulsion. Open the inky list of Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Zinc Oxide. Absent. Titanium dioxide? Absent. The Korean formulators took a different approach entirely. They removed mineral particles from the equation altogether. In their place, 4 next-generation organic macromolecules, Uvenyl A+, Tinosorb M, ethylhexyltriazone, isotriazole, dissolved in a continuous liquid matrix. No particles, no aggregation challenge, a molecularly seamless shield. Before examining the paradox, EltaMD UV Clear earns genuine scientific respect. The niacinamide in this formula is not a cosmetic claim. At its active concentration, it is a legitimate dermatological treatment, working continuously. For anyone managing inflammatory acne or rosacea, niacinamide inhibits melanin transfer, calms sebaceous activity, and supports ceramide synthesis simultaneously. The $43 price does not reflect vanity. It reflects clinical formulation. The cyclopentasiloxane chassis evaporates on contact, 0 grease, 0 residue, a refined matte finish. Achieving that sensoriality alongside 9% zinc oxide is a genuine formulation challenge, and EltaMD solves it elegantly. The hydroxyethyl acrylate copolymer creates a gel cream network that flows during application, then reassembles into a cohesive locked film on the skin's surface. The texture engineering here is precise and well executed. EltaMD UV Clear is among the most intelligently formulated daily SPF products available. Understanding its one physical limitation requires first understanding what this formula was actually designed to accomplish at the molecular level. Octinoxate, 7.5%, the UVB workhorse of this formula, is where the physics becomes interesting. Under continuous UV exposure, this molecule has a structural behavior its marketing materials never mention. Octinoxate naturally holds its protective trans configuration. A UV photon strikes. The molecule isomerizes into the cis form, unable to safely dissipate the energy, and loses UV absorption capacity. This isomerization is not reversible under sunlight. Each absorbed photon converts one molecule. degradation follows first-order kinetics. Without a stabilizing quencher, octocrylene is absent from EltaMD. The decay continues. Multiple published photostability studies consistently show that octinoxate without dedicated quencher molecules loses UV absorption capacity under sustained solar exposure, suggesting this formula's effective SPF at application likely exceeds its midday value. Subscribe to Cosmetoscope, because every formula you apply has a molecular story that no marketing campaign will ever tell you. Hit the bell icon. Subscribe now and never miss a breakdown. UV Kinetics Laboratory. Theoretical simulation. Identical photon doses applied to both formulas simultaneously. The first-order decay equation predicts that above EltaMD, the protection curve should begin a slow, continuous decline. Above Beauty of Joseon, the curve holds perfectly flat. The macromolecular filters absorb identical photon doses and return to their original state each time. The kinetic difference between the two formulas is now visible. The mechanism. ESIPT. Excited state intramolecular proton transfer. A molecular punching bag. Absorbs each impact, converts the energy internally to heat, and snaps back to its original form. Instantly. Every single time. This cycle, absorption, proton transfer, heat release, reset, completes in under 1 picosecond, 10 to the minus 12 seconds. After each event, the molecule is structurally identical to what it was before it. Repeat this cycle millions of times. No structural damage accumulates, no photoproducts form. Beauty of Joseon's kinetic protection curve remains flat, because at the molecular level, nothing in the filter system is being consumed. Side by side, one flat cyan line, one amber line in measurable decline. The gap grows with every hour of sun. A kinetic equation expressed in the molecular behavior of two different filter chemistries. Octinoxate kinetics is the first finding. The second is more architecturally interesting. It concerns niacinamide, the ingredient justifying the $43 price, and a physical paradox it creates inside the formula. For niacinamide to reach melanocytes in the viable epidermis, it must cross the stratum corneum, requiring co-solvents that modify the lipid bilayer and open a transdermal delivery pathway for the therapeutic payload. O'Neill's step film model explains the consequence. When co-solvents migrate inward, the UV film above loses surface tension. The matrix at the surface gradually becomes less cohesive and more permeable to UV radiation. Facial movement then stresses that less cohesive film. Micro discontinuities form. UV transmission through those points increases. The formula is simultaneously performing its therapeutic work and creating conditions for UV film compromise. This is the formulation paradox. Optimizing for therapeutic penetration and optimizing for UV film integrity are physically competing objectives. EltaMD prioritizes the first. That choice is coherent and carries a measurable photophysical cost. Beauty of Joseon makes no such trade. Its lamellar liquid crystal network, anchored by polyglycerol 3-methylglucose-distearate, is engineered exclusively for surface retention. The formula has no transdermal therapeutic ambitions. Under application shear, the cross-linked acrylate network flows and fills every skin microrelief. When shear stops, the matrix reassembles into a continuous elastic film. Its mechanical design makes discontinuities structurally improbable. Dibutyl adipate, second on the INCI list, keeps every macromolecular filter in dissolved liquid state throughout the film. No crystallization, no aggregation. UV shield integrity is maintained across the full exposure window. The assessment. EltaMD UV Clear makes one deliberate formulation trade. deep therapeutic delivery against UV film longevity. For its intended clinical use, acne, rosacea, post-inflammatory pigmentation, that trade is entirely rational. The market positions products like EltaMD as simultaneously optimal for treatment and UV protection. Biophysics suggests these two objectives pull in opposite molecular directions. Fully optimizing both in one formula is physically constrained. Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun makes no therapeutic claims. Its entire molecular architecture is organized around one objective: maximum UV filter retention at the surface from application to reapplication, and it delivers precisely that. Price signals clinical investment, not photostability engineering. The formula that wins the UV endurance test is the one built exclusively for that test, not the one managing a dermatological condition at the same time. The practical hierarchy. Choose EltaMD UV Clear when managing an active inflammatory skin condition is the primary objective. Choose Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun when sustained UV endurance across extended exposure is the priority. One question for the comments: which formula sits on your bathroom shelf right now? And after everything you just learned, are you keeping it there? Tell us what you use and why.